It'll be
So I
fine.
literally
I
would
was
just
so-
Yeah.
and I was like,
run
my
between
plan is
parade
to
things.
Yeah,
yesterday when I met
You're like
everybody.
going into the food court.
And
Yeah.
Right,
it's
like
okay,
down when you're
but I
going
have
to
to
the
find
food
Bob
court.
covered
There, the pizza
and
place.
sweat. It's not
Hey.
happening.
You just
Um,
instead of going,
but it's
On
essential
Blockbuster,
to
my phone
Okay.
doesn't
and
have
if you
a
just
button.
look, it just looks
Oh my
like
God,
a
did
hall
you-
of
I did
nowhere.
a media
You go down
track
far
with
enough.
and I
It's
actually don't have
lovely.
because it really
It's
it,
like
I might
if
just
it's
have
it's
to
it
take
goes
like
down to the depths.
Where's it Poppy Valley?
but it's like
Do you know on the other side of the
Hi.
street, there's that
So that's
Nice
old
and
like
slow.
silver
into this
statue?
Okay, I think I was supposed to
Maybe.
say something.
It's okay. You will
Like
later.
if you're
not the
you're
best.
walking
And I mean,
up
like I
there,
live in Iowa.
like basically
I was gonna ask.
directly across
Brain is
from
habit, is what I was saying.
like
Oh,
the
yeah.
distance, there's like a statue of like
I'm not awake
A
yet,
little
and I
nicer.
have not had enough
We're
coffee.
in.
Okay.
Okay.
Fall
it
and-
pops you out
fall
by
small.
that.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
I've walked by that. I don't know how
We
many
We
times
actually
I've
had
ever
one a week ago.
noticed
Shit.
Cool off your
like
little
that
How long
little
do I have? We
You
had
get
beautiful
ages.
weather, and then it was like,
back to
oh,
the street.
Dragon Con coming?
So-
No.
But yeah, and it,
We're gonna be
but
back in the 90s.
it is
and
not
80%
always open.
humidity again.
Yeah.
Don't enjoy that fall
because
weather. It was
I
so
Paul
beautiful.
Hartnett
Oh
showed
no,
me
I know, and I'm like,
where it was
oh, this is
and
gonna
how to
be
use
fine.
it.
I'll be
And,
fine with
'cause
this.
I just got
I'm not-
lucky. We were
I'm
both heading
already
to go do signing.
just sweaty.
It's like, oh cool, I'm gonna follow you. He was
Iowa.
like, I was
Oh,
told it's
yeah.
open.
Yeah.
And then he went and asked him, like as we were walking there, he saw
Oh,
a
and,
cop, like, hey,
that's
you know
like one
is
of
it
our
open right now?
state sayings
The guy's
is
like,
it would be
I don't know.
nice
It's
if
like,
not for
okay,
the
well, we're
humidity.
just gonna assume it is until
Yeah.
we show up
But yeah,
and
those
then get told otherwise.
That was the thing. Someone told me last year was a nightmare. It's like I would ask one
It's
compliment.
the corn.
They would tell me a thing. I'd go over there.
The
just
corn
tell
makes
them,
it really
no, and they
humid.
send me
I'm
back
not
the way it
joking.
was.
Okay.
And then I was like, somebody said, take the tunnel. Get on top of the tunnel.
So all the
across
corn-
the street this way. We're going to go. He goes, no. I'm like, okay. So I just
Yes.
ran through the street
Yeah.
between parade floats.
I,
You're not
so
supposed
I
to
was
do, but it's
in
like,
my
how else
house
do you
watching
do
it
that?
happening.
Like,
Like,
that like one of the intersections.
But a bunch
Are
of
we
stuff,
live?
so impossible.
I was
Hi
in Iowa
guys,
City.
we're live.
Oh, hey.
So everybody wave at the camera.
Professional.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 10 o'clock, so I'm going to get started. And I'm completely discombobulated. Welcome to day whatever of Dragon Con. We are the digital media track. My name is Tyra Burton, and I'm going to tell you about our track sponsor. It is Zakat, and for over 22 years, they have been empowering lives through disaster relief, food distribution, orphan care, and more. Their top ratings on Charity Navigator and the Better Business Bureau's Charity Wise Giving Alliance means that you know your contributions are going to a good place. We appreciate them sponsoring us. They help us bring more love to this track, and you can find them at zakat.org, zakat.org. Now for the fun part. Yay, Zakat. Thank you. The Dragon Con charity this year is one that's near and dear to my heart because both my husband, my mother-in-law, and my mother suffer from arthritis. And the Arthritis Foundation at the Georgia chapter is our charity for Dragon Con. And it's the number one cause of disability in the United States, and over 60 million adults actually have arthritis, and hundreds of thousands of children do as well. So Dragon Con matches up to $125,000. Last year we exceeded the match and we got to $272,000 donation overall, which is awesome. And that was for cure childhood cancer. We want to do just as good this year. So on the whatever this side is for you. It's my right, it's your left. Okay, your left. I have challenged. I'm like Barbie, which is my left. Okay, the L. So that's I know that's no, don't confuse me. The pink is artificial intelligence. So if you look on the front, whatever this side is left, that's the code to donate to Dragon Con directly. The code on the far right is to do the 5K hustle. Now, how many of you have walked at this convention?
Not at all.
Okay,
Not a
you
single
have already done your 5K. It's virtual. Get yourself a medal for how much you have walked and sweated. And when you do, it's going to ask you a little question. It says, what's your favorite track? And the answer is digital media. And if you're out there watching in Twitch land, go do this because you too can help. Just go walk around your couch. It'll be fun.
a lot.
And in the center is the digital media track logo. I'll tell you all about that at the end. But more importantly, you have arrived at Writers talking about going digital or not going digital, right? I mean, we could go screaming from the room, but why would you be on this panel then? And then I'd have nothing to talk with you about. So I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves and then we'll get started with our questions. So guess what? It's you.
Hi, I am Judy Black. I am an author, game designer, former social media manager of a large-ish company, and a bunch of other freelance writing and a bunch of other random stuff. So hi. Oh, and I'm just like really proud of this. I made this silly Pathalo Possums D&D game, and it is my magnum opus as far as graphic design goes. It's 3 possums howling at the moon. So please pick up a little business card just to admire my magnum opus. I will never design anything as glorious as
is it
those
your-
possums ever
Is
again.
it your magnum opus?
Oh, Mr. Punny at
Look,
the end.
It's Sunday at Dragon Con. My brain is cabbage soup, man.
Hey, I'm Clint Hall. I'm a sci-fi fantasy author. I put out a book in November. I got another one coming out in January. I am also the host of the Experience Conversations with Creatives podcast. It is just that I have on creative people that I think are interesting, and I talk to them about how they do what they do and why they do what they do and all of that good stuff.
Oh, hi. I'm Rilo W. Ward. I write for Adult Swim Central, which is an Adult Swim news website. And I also host a podcast called the Gilded Calamitous Podcast. We are an unofficial Venture Brothers rewatch podcast.
My name is Dennis Robinson, or as the internet calls me, the world's most okayest DM. I am, and no, I didn't pick that name. So by day I'm a consultant, but I also write graphic novels about the world's first werewolf. I have 2 out now, with the third it's at the printer right now, so it'll be out later this year. I also am the DM for the D&D podcast called Botched, a D&D podcast. It's an improv comedy show draped in the loose skin of Dungeons and Dragons with a little bit of drinking involved. And tonight we'll actually be in the Crystal Ballroom starting our 9th season, which is set in the SCP universe, if you're familiar with that. And also there's free beer. So.
Oh.
I'm Bob Magoo. I'm an author. I'm best known as the author of the Jubal County Saga, which is about a redneck wizard with a crippling meth addiction. More relevant to this track, I do a host of book-related podcasts, and I just do a little bit of everything, really. So call it that.
Bob also has my favorite elevator one-liner for his book. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, no matter how many times I hear it, it gets me every time.
Absolutely. So what I'd like to do is start off talking about the writing process and how we've worked technology into our writing process, or dashed it to the wall if we don't do that. So, Bob, do you want to start? Because I can see Judy's thinking.
Sure. It's definitely grown over the years. My first big shift was going to Google Drive, so I can write wherever. I can't. I think back to the days where I would write at work. I had a night shift job as a clerk at a warehouse. I didn't care what I did, and I would write and have to email myself pages every day, and God, Stone Age. So switching to Google Drive was a big shift. Now that I am publishing, there's just so many softwares that I use now in my Atticus, the Affinity Suite, Pro Writing Aid, to so many different tools that are all a part of the process, and a lot of them more on the publishing side than the writing. I still just write in Google, but there are so many amazing tools out there that can make your life easier.
Can you list those again?
I promise we're going to have a part where we go through tech tools, and we're going to make sure we list
Okay.
them, and we'll be slow about it. And I'm also going to give you guys a place where you can go afterwards, where I'll have links, so you can click on them that way if you want.
Yeah.
Yes,
They have their act together so much.
our track does most days. Yeah. We're just
Okay.
going to come back this way.
This is unacceptable.
So I also use Google Docs, but part of that is because of the nature of writing comic books. It's a very collaborative effort because I do not do the entire thing myself because there's not enough time in the universe. So like I'll write the script. Well, actually I'll write an outline, give it to the editor. She'll give me a few pointers or whatever. And then I'll write the whole script in Google Docs, send it back to the editor, and we'll go back and forth. Having it in Google Docs allows it so multiple people can be in the document, at once, and leave notes and comments, and you can fix things and see what was fixed before. And then from there, it goes to my art team, and my art team is spread all over the world. So, one person's in Spain, 2 people are in Argentina, there's somebody in Texas and Chicago. So like having it one line like that makes it easy to be able to send it to everybody and get that process down. The other tools that I use are more for formatting the book into a comic itself, because, Photoshop, because it has to go to a printer. So there's like a very specific format everything has to go into. So I use a lot of different tools because there's an art aspect related to it as well. And there's a number of free tools. I think GIMP is the one that's basically like free Photoshop. I've used that in the past, but now I just steal my work license to do my stuff.
He did
So-
not say that. He was joking.
That's right, I didn't.
No one heard it.
Adobe, don't get mad at
Yeah.
anyone. So I have always done my writing digitally. I think it's probably because of my age. I was born in 92, so that I started right off doing sort of cloud writing when I started to take it seriously. So I use lots of Google Docs. Google Docs is a lifesaver, and it's just made everything so easy. And also the whole Google suite has made everything so easy. Like when I started the podcast, we got our first guest, and it was one of the voice actors, and I was able to have a form so people could submit questions, because Lord knows I didn't know what to ask. But so I didn't really have a transition into digital.
Yeah, I mean, we've touched on this. I would say that we're not listing tools yet. We're talking about
Yeah, the
role and
process.
how it has adapted our writing process. And I think accessibility is absolutely huge. Now, Bob down there is going to tell you that you got to get in the perfect same quiet room every time, put on the same music, like the same candle.
You don't
and that's
have
the
to.
only way that you can write. That's what Bob said. No,
You don't have to. That's
Bob,
secure-
you like candles?
That's secure writer's block.
Right.
Secure
Oh.
writer's
No,
block.
I'm
There's
joking. I like.
special mix.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
try
I'm
that.
joking. But here's the thing, and especially when I became a dad, sometimes you got to grab 250 words while you're waiting for pickup food. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you need, and having it on my phone, right? Having the, so I use Scrivener, and I'll evangelize about that. in a
Oh, yeah.
minute. But having it on my phone, where it's like, okay, I have 10 minutes right here. Now I would love to be at my desk, and I would love to have my music playing and all that kind of stuff, but it's not always feasible. You know, I've written first drafts of short stories while rocking a baby to sleep, right? That is the biggest change for me, is being able to work pretty much wherever you are, but also, and I know we all do this, we all have all these notes apps that are not organized at all, but we have these thoughts. And what's wonderful about that is that when you have that tiny little seed of an idea, when you write it down and then it gets just a little bit bigger, just a little bit bigger, and just a little bit bigger, that's the magic. And technology has allowed us to capture those moments of inspiration. They don't just slip away, because we all do the thing where we're like, oh, I'll remember this tomorrow. I'll write it down later. And then we're gone forever. Yeah. So hope,
That does
and
not
the truth is, we could do it on our phones, and we still don't sometimes. But that is, I would say, the biggest thing is being able to capture those moments when they do come.
So I guess maybe I'm the Luddite-esque person on this panel? So
We
like,
needed one. That's why you were invited.
I got my little notebook here, and I took notes about what to talk about on this panel and things to make sure I didn't forget them. I have a section over here where I have like a running list of projects I'm working on and various timelines and like random ideas I get for them. And I absolutely use technology too. There's an app I'll mention later called TickTick that's just a to-do list, and I have a section in there just called brain dump, so random stuff that pops in my head. But as far as writing goes, I usually start with writing physically, but I also really like so there's a fancy expensive version of it called the Free Write, which is like a typewriter-esque
Oh,
device
yeah.
that does not connect to the internet. You can type on it. That's it.
Oh yeah.
They're very expensive. They're really pretty. You can find a version called the Alpha Smart for like $80 on eBay that's from the 80s and does the same thing. And they're delightful. So I live in the area and I take Marta to and from work. So I just bring my little Alpha Smart with me and pop that bad boy on my lap and get a lot of weird stares and tippity type away with nothing on the internet to distract me, because I'm very easily distracted.
So the Alpha Smarts were actually used in high schools to teach kids how to type.
Yeah, they're great. And yeah, you can find them on eBay, on Amazon for significantly cheaper than the Free Writes. The Free Writes are, they're
They're
newer,
pretty.
they're prettier, they're probably a little less weight. And, the people I know who have them adore them, but they are like expensive. Like $300 to $600 expensive. Like they're pricey little pretty guides.
And I will say the Alpha Smart, as you mentioned that they're used in high schools. When I was in high school, I had to use one because I was struggling so much with my neurospiciness.
Mm.
Yay, neurospicy.
And it helped me be able to complete like large essays and stuff
Mhm.
so much easier.
Yeah. 'cause
So
those-
they're lifesavers.
Yeah, because they do the screen where you can see what you've written is only like this wide.
Yeah.
So you can only read up so far. There is no internet connection. Like you connect it for the Alpha Smart, you connect it in via cable and then you watch it type back everything. It's really fascinating
Yeah.
and fun to watch. But yeah, that if you are struggling with getting distracted by the internet, that can be a helpful tool.
Or also my thing was I overthought everything.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, or you start going back and reading and editing and editing and
Yeah.
editing and never finishing, which I always have to say, any writing advice panel, you have to finish your stuff. I have to add that in because that is the most important tip. You have to finish something.
Yeah.
Now I'm done.
Well, I know, and the Alpha Smart's great for that because you literally just throw up and
Yeah.
you type, and you just don't worry about
It
it. And
doesn't even have a spell check.
no, you just
Which
start.
is horrifying when you go back later.
What's horrifying to
Yeah.
me is when it's downloading is what's horrifying to me. So I actually use Scrivener as well as
Mhm.
Google Docs. So I'm writing on both of those trains. But also when I'm writing my memoir kind of stuff about my parents, which is a book I'm writing on right now, I have to physically write it, which is weird for me. I know you start everything out for that, but for them, I have to write it here. If I try to type it, it just doesn't flow. But if I'm writing my fantasy, it's got to be on a typewriter or on a Google Doc or something. I just want to say cloud backing up is our friend.
Yes.
As multiple places is good.
Yes,
Rilo's
please.
have you got a story?
So I work in electronics repair as my day job. That's where I actually make my money. And
We understand that. Yep.
and I had the most horrifying experience of telling a person that they had lost the first draft of their book because they didn't cloud backup it. And the way MacBooks work now
Oh, no.
is you can't swap out the hard drive, so you can't remove it. So if the motherboard's done, so is the hard drive. It's gone.
Oof.
Cloud, get a cloud
Another
service,
reason why-
please.
Yeah.
Clouds. Don't be that person.
Yeah, please. Or even just email yourself a copy if you don't have a cloud account of any sort. Like just
Or,
have
or
it
even
in
like
another
have
somewhere.
multiple flash drives.
A flash
Like,
drive, but label them.
Yes. And be aware that flash drives can corrupt because the first professional short story I sold, my flash drive corrupted and I had to rewrite the whole thing in a fever panic dream. So yeah, those can corrupt too. So have multiples.
Yeah, have backups, and
Yes.
there's like a company called Data Savers that can also
Yeah.
retrieve data for you.
Okay, now that we've scared the
Now that we've-
bejeebers out of everybody,
You know, my
Um,
heart
You're gonna be fine.
palpitations.
well,
Yeah.
stop those palpitations because you're next because
I
we're
know.
working down to Bob. So Bob this time gets to think.
Oh, no.
What are your favorite tech tools for writing? So give us a couple, and then if we have more, we'll just keep going.
Okay. So a horrifying
This is
thing-
not a tech toy.
I know.
Okay.
No, but I wrote down some. So one, I wrote down my tech toys. So one of the things that I wrote down here was graphic design is far more important than you think.
Oh.
Because for a lot of authors, you also have to do your own marketing. You have to be able to make a little promo graphic. You have to figure out, what do I post on Instagram? Like, and it doesn't have to be like a professional quality, professional grade thing, but like some basic know-how is important. Canva, I think, is the most popular right now, which is pretty much a click and grab. They have a ton of templates. You can pay for it, or they have free options as well. I think there's another one I've used a few times called Pixlr, and then
Yeah,
I've heard a
Pixlr.
couple people talking about Visme, but I've not used that one. CapCut is good for videos. I use that. Snapseed is good for photo editing. Snapseed. And these are apps on your phone.
I've got all of us covered.
So for a lot of the tabletop RPG modules I design, I use stock art and then manipulate it. Like the possums. This is 3 pictures of different possums and a different moon that I slapped together in Photoshop. So I use like deposit photos for that, but you need to understand the rights and stuff if you start getting into that, like what right do you have on using them, and but that's a whole different panel.
Can you make a comment real quick about like some great websites where you can just go get images or something?
So a lot of like historical sites you can find like copyright free pictures.
Unsplash.
Unsplash has some good options as
Unsplash is the
well.
best you'll find.
Um,
I write it down too, but it's called Unsplash, unsplash.com. Now they've been bought by a paid site as well, but they have the best collection of Creative Commons photography that you'll find on the web.
yeah,
I think.
and I think Deposit Photos has a selection of free you can use as well. You just have to check on what the rights are for those individual pictures. Oh, I see people raising their hands, I think, with suggestions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be cautious with
Yes.
Pixabay. Pixabay is getting absolutely solidly full of AI generated art.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
a lot of
So
it
Adobe
is somebody
style.
else can upload someone else's artwork onto
What?
those sites
Yeah.
and claim
Yeah.
it as theirs, and you can still get in trouble for using that. So just be cautious. Pixabay is a little, but yeah, it's very flooded with
Well,
AI.
We'll put an iffy beside it, but
Is Pixabay and what was the other one?
Pexel.
Pexel.
Related to what you just said, I had a friend who got burnt on Creative Commons. It's a good idea to take a screen grab which shows it's free for use when you put it up, because there were instances of people changing their rights after.
Yeah.
that.
But
So-
yeah, for the most part, that's yeah.
So what she suggested was if you use something from a site that has Creative Commons, I'm just doing this for the live stream, make sure you take a screenshot of what they had it as at that moment. So if they changed what their rights are, you'll be able to prove it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
suddenly that possum picture blows up and it's no longer, free use, then you have proof it was when you did it. Yeah, so I use a lot of Photoshop. Another good free option that is basically Photoshop but in a browser is Photopea, like the food you eat. And that's just entirely online, and a guy basically just made Photoshop online. It's fabulous. It's pretty much an exact replica. InDesign, Affinity, which I'm gonna let
Yeah,
Bob
Bob's
talk more
gonna-
about.
They owe me money at this point.
For social media, I use Social Champ, which is a site where you can upload. What I adore about it is that you can upload a series of tweets or posts as an Excel sheet, set a schedule, and just tell it post 3 of these randomly a day for X period of time, and it'll just do it. So I don't have to worry about it. Buffer is another one, and that will let you just randomly choose tweets or posts that you like, and they will just repost them at random. So your account is not all just buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, because you're screaming into the void, and and yeah, we are gonna talk about For the Words.
Yeah,
Probably.
We'll come back though.
So I'll stop
Because
now.
I can
have
see
a lot.
Clint's chomping at
I
the
know. I
bit.
have a
No,
lot.
But I like that. I like that you were talking so much about the design stuff. Was the question specifically about design stuff? or
No,
was
the
that-
question is about any
Okay,
type
yeah.
of cool,
But
yeah,
because
cool
here's
tech.
the thing: is anyone in here planning on being traditionally published? Goal of being traditionally?
It's
Raise
okay.
your hand.
It's
raise your
okay.
hand.
There's no shame.
No
because,
shame.
because here's the thing, right? I am traditionally published, and my publisher has a marketing department. They're wonderful. You are still going to want to
Yep.
have some way of doing some graphic design stuff.
Yep.
For me, it's Canva, right? And the best thing that my marketing person told me is she said, get Canva and get familiar with it.
Mhm.
And they're wonderful. I'm not saying my publisher actually does more than most. They're
Yeah.
they're wonderful about their marketing support. But you are going to want to be able to create social media content, flyers. When you're going to go to a book signing, you're going to want to be able
Business
to
cards.
create, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
You're going to want to be able to do those things on your own. You don't want to outsource it. It's going to get expensive. And it's kind of fun and easy once you kind of get the hang of these sort of things.
Mhm.
So if there's anyone in here who's like, yeah, but I'm not going to go indie, so I'm not going to be doing all that kind of stuff, you get traditionally published, you probably are, right? So I love that you brought
Yeah.
up that many tools
Yeah,
for design,
'cause that's
because
been a shocking revelation.
yes, even for a traditionally published author, we all know what I mean by traditionally published author, right? Anybody not know? Okay, so yeah, even for a traditionally published author, that's part of the game now. My writing tool, and I'll just do it now. And do y'all know what Scrivener is? Does anybody not know what Scrivener is?
Oh, we
Okay,
gotta
y'all
talk
know
about the Scrivener.
Yeah.
Okay, we
break
can
it
do a whole
down.
panel on Scrivener, but
Yes.
Scrivener,
It's true.
That would be
Scrivener
fun.
is just it's a word processor and then so much more, right? So it is the place where I actually do the writing. But Scrivener, the way that it lays everything out, it makes it very, very easy for you to organize all of your character sheets, to arrange your scenes. All of the, if you do a lot of, I do a ton of world building because I'm a sci-fi fantasy author, so I can very easily go split screen, and I have the document I'm working on here, and I have all the background that I've written right here, and you can easily reference back and forth. It makes it easy to do project searches. It makes it easy to search for, how many times am I using the word just, or
Just a
lot.
lot.
Don't call me out like
a lot, but things like that. It is a very, very powerful writing tool. Now, a lot of people like, I tried it, I didn't like it, and all the time I say, did you do the tutorial?
Mhm.
And they
Yes.
almost always say, no, I did not. And I'm thinking, well, that's why. The tutorial is a beast. It's going to take you probably a few hours if you do it right. And I know none of us want to spend a few hours learning how to
It's worth it.
It's worth
use
it.
it is worth it. And it will save you that time on the back end. So I'm not going to go into all the, what, did you have a Scrivener thing?
No. Is it multi-platform?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And that's the thing. I loved when they did this. So, and then you do have to I'm using an iPhone. I did have to also buy the iOS version. I think it wasn't that bad though. None of it's that
And
expensive.
if you wait
actually.
until NaNoWriMo and you actually complete NaNoWriMo, usually they have a coupon deal. Or if you just wait till December 1st and subtly Google NaNoWriMo Scrivener coupon code, you can probably get it on sale as well. They also usually offer a pretty bit like 30-day trial during NaNoWriMo.
and it's not that I think
It's not that expensive.
$40
and it's
when I
not
bought
subscription based.
It. No, it's
No,
not.
no, you
Yeah,
own it.
right?
You
You buy
got
it once and it's yours, baby.
And then if
Yeah,
you-
and it's
but if
Mac
you are-
and PC.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
Unless
no,
they
no, no,
do
no, no.
like a major
Yeah.
overhaul. Like if they
Right.
do like a major overhaul, then you will maybe.
But that's not.
But
on
it's
there,
still
though.
discounted.
No, it's
Yeah.
discounted when you buy it again.
No, they're fair.
Yeah,
no, they're
They
great.
really are. And now if you back up, you have to have Dropbox, but I think
Yeah.
even the free one you
You
can
can
back
connect.
up through Scrivener, and then that's how you connect your phone Scrivener to your desktop Scrivener or
Yeah,
whatever.
It's
So
delightful.
It's magic.
it
We
so
don't really
much.
understand it, but it
And
happens.
I got plenty more things,
You
but,
need it
let's
spelled?
keep going. Oh sure, yeah. SCRIVENER.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did spell it right.
Hey, how about that?
That
Yeah,
in
and
the
it is
table,
awesome.
they
Great.
did much better on spelling tests and handwriting tests.
Yeah.
I did in school.
Oh, I'm-
It's very clear.
No.
From
Same.
scratch.
No, I learned the spelling words like as we were in the drop-off lane. And then I would go in and do the spelling test in elementary school, and they would immediately leave my brain.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, that's a lie.
No, that's valid. I'm learning a lot of stuff because I've just been learning as I go.
Mhm.
And some of the stuff I use, I mean, the whole Google Suite, I use that religiously, but also like just my notes app on
Mhm.
my phone
Yeah, for real.
is filled with so many just little details, especially because I personally write a lot about conventions when I'm writing about it for Adult Swim. So I, it's easy to on the fly take a note and be like, hey, this was a part of the it's easy. I'm not awake.
Mood.
None of us are. It's
Mood.
okay.
I use Photor.
I don't know this one.
It is on iOS because I do a lot of my stuff on my phone. And it is subscription based, but if you subscribe for like the small time that you need it, it's fine. And they do offer a free trial your first go around. But and also the subscription's not bad. I think you can get it for like $4.99.
So can you spell it? Because
FOTOR.
FO, I was in totally the wrong place.
And it has so many editing options and really easy. It's very
Oh.
intuitive, super easy to use. I will warn you, they have AI options. Ignore them.
Yes.
But otherwise, it's a great editing tool, and you can save like certain recipes, as they call it,
Oh,
which are just various edit filters and stuff like that that you're able to then reuse. So that they've been a lifesaver, absolutely. And I don't really run into common use
Yeah, no,
issues.
unless you're like doing covers and using things like in like I bring it up because I'm making covers and adding
Yeah.
art into
Yeah.
things that are then for sale, so it is a different thing than
Yeah.
like a social media
Yeah.
post.
Yeah, and for social media, I'm probably the only person. I don't know if everyone here uses apps. I do it all by
it's okay.
hand, and I'm exhausted.
I'll help you guys with that in a moment. I promise.
Oh, thank God.
Like Google Docs and made like a shareable thing that you could constantly update each other on things.
Oh,
true.
that would be so.
Doing, like,
We might have a
helpful.
Google Doc right now. I'm just saying. Hypothetically, I already made one.
So yeah, that's
add everyone on the list so they can all
Oh yeah, that big.
Yeah, because I'm sure that we're gonna leave this panel and be like, oh my
Oh,
god, I
God.
didn't talk about.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm gonna leave and remember like
Yeah, we'll all have some
5
coffee.
different like apps or and
I got you
things.
covered.
and I mean I know this is mostly writing, but like
That's okay.
for podcasting,
Yes.
I've found I used it's not now I guess it's Spotify podcasting, but
Mhm.
they offer
Oh, Anchor.
Anchor. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Now I'm awake. They offer a free platform for you to post your podcast on, and they will distribute it for you.
Which is so nice.
Mhm.
Anchor.
Anchor.
Anchor, it's now Spotify podcasts, and they'll distribute it to like Spotify, Apple,
All
Yeah.
of the various
all of them.
There's-
podcast distributors. 'Cause there's a lot.
I am. Anytime there's a free service, realize there's always going to be limitations with it.
Yeah.
there
But I
are
would say
some-
that Anchor Spotify is probably one of the best.
oh, absolutely.
And
So-
I just look up a list of, because no matter who's pushing it, they never hit them all.
Yeah, 'cause
You
there's
need to go
ton.
just look up a list of places you need to be pushing your podcast to, and all they're you just gonna, not to get too in the weeds, you just need your RSS feed, and you're just gonna go post it different places.
And it's
But-
super easy to find. And
Yeah.
now they also have an option for like you to have different series
Mhm.
under like the same sort of banner.
Mhm.
But we promise we have podcasting stuff on the digital media track. Dennis, what do you use?
So I wanted to tackle it from a little bit of a different angle, but I did want to add quickly two things, two other points. A good way to get images is to cheese the paid websites by using their free trial to get like the 10 free and then immediately canceling it. Definitely didn't do
All
that with
the
Adobe
time.
stock,
All the time.
and I definitely don't use my work account now for that.
Yeah.
Or Motion Array, definitely don't. And then the other thing, the importance of graphics. So I'm pretty sure even if you're a traditional published book, you can still do shows like conventions and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
We
like
have
you
stuff
need to
up.
think about your whole setup, your business cards. I have a tablecloth,
Yeah, banners.
banners. Like there's all kinds of different things that you can use graphics for. So Photoshop, GIMP, any of that stuff is great. The two tools that I wanted to use are a little different. It's kind of after you've already made your book, sort of like to build a community and to then also get your book out there. Kickstarter is a pretty popular way, especially for somebody who doesn't have a following. It's because people will literally just back things that they find on Kickstarter. That's a really good tool. It is a monster in terms of you sort of have to put in a ton of work. It's not something you just go home and sign up for and then make one. Fast story. I work a lot of shows, and there was a vendor I talked to about Kickstarter a lot, and he's like, you know what? You've talked me into it. I'm going to do a Kickstarter. I got home that night and I got a notification. Such and such has launched a Kickstarter. And I was like, nope.
Oh my god.
No, he got like $20, I think. And then was like, I don't understand what I did wrong. I was like, dude, you have to spend like 6 months like planning this.
Yeah.
No, there's a whole lot that goes into a Kickstarter.
Qualifications.
You got
But
to
it's
craft it.
great for building an audience and getting it out there, especially if you're indie or like, I think you could still do it in some instances, even if you're doing traditional publishing.
Yeah.
And then the other tool for also building a community, especially if you're going to shows, is MailChimp. So for instance, when I go to shows and I'm selling the book, I'm like, hey, do you want to sign up for my email newsletter? And I explain all it is it's book updates, stories from the road, and pictures of my dog. Most people sign up for the dog. But But I
It's
have a
true.
little iPad that I don't use for anything else but this, and it's just a web page that I have set up, and I just hand it to people, and I'm like, fill in your information, and it'll automatically add them to the email list. And then every time I put out a newsletter, as long as they're still signed up for it, it'll, send it out. And I will have, depending on the newsletter that I put out, people will respond and like, give comments or on this and that. And it's a good way to keep people updated on what you're doing. I'll get questions at shows all the time. Oh, when's the next book coming out? It's like, okay, well, here's the newsletter if you want to know. And they're like, oh, okay. And they'll sign up that way, or you can get your Kickstarter information out. Everything's kind of tied together and intermingled. But those are two tools that I recommend, especially for the post book when you're trying to figure out what to do at that point.
Yeah, I cannot stress MailChimp and newsletters enough because
Mhm.
like if you saw like on Twitter, Brazil has banned it. So I have a bunch of friends who are artists who had huge followings on Twitter and they've just lost them. They're just gone. But a newsletter you have more control over. You have those email addresses. So yeah, because social medias can change in an instant and you can lose it all.
And
Newsletters and
MailChimp-
websites.
Yeah.
Have a website.
So thank you because I
No worries,
completely blanked on it.
And MailChimp is free to a point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If once you're following or however many, you can't send too many newsletters in like, I forget what their time frame is. I think it's like a
Yeah.
month or maybe 90 days. I forget.
Yeah.
But once you hit a certain point, then you have to like upgrade to a paid plan. I think it's like $13 a month for the basic, and then it like goes up from there. So if you get huge as a writer, obviously you'll be paying more, but
At that point, your newsletter will be paying for itself.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So right after this, we're going to take questions. If that would fall, I saw you raise your hand, so I was just checking.
But make sure you back up your email
Yes.
list as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Upload it, don't assume that they can't reach your account.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And I say this is a guy who used MailChimp for years and am so reluctant to change anything. I just swapped to MailerLite,
Ooh.
and there are a few real inside baseball reasons for that on like more the design side and the stat side, but the main thing is MailerLite is less likely to get caught in spam filters by like 3 or 4% than MailChimp. MailChimp, and they both have free options. They're both absolutely perfectly acceptable. I just recently had enough of my folks who were doing better than me bludgeon me over the head. Why have you not switched yet? And I have noticed about a 3 to 4%
Okay.
uptick in my open rate. So
Yes.
So Ink Shares, it's kind of a Kickstarter for writing. We're going to ask. So yes, Ink Shares.
Yeah. And then
Thanks,
there's also
Shannon.
like Substack and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, Bob,
yep.
we're ready for what we know you're going to evangelize.
Before I evangelize on,
What?
I have two quick things.
Okay.
One, you need a website, but I
Yeah,
hear
thank
you.
you.
You cannot justify the expense of a website right now. That's fine. At the end of the day, all your website is a link aggregator. And you know what is a link aggregator that is free? Linktree.
True.
Go set up a link tree. It will act as your website until such a point that you have a website. Okay, totally free.
that.
I know someone will catch me. He's like, I went to sign up for it and it's not free. I promise you, dig around on that website. It is free. You can do a
It is.
paid version, but the free version is absolutely just fine.
Yeah.
And to follow up on Clint, if you want to be traditionally published, you are going to most likely have to have an agent.
Mhm.
Agents are going to look at your social media presence.
Yes, that's true.
And if their option is 2 books that they absolutely love, and one person has 1,000 people on their social media, and one person has a Facebook with 10 followers, they are absolutely going to sign the person with 1,000.
Yep.
Okay, because Clint is lucky. Most traditional publishers are organized gamblers. They're going to put out 500 books in that year. They're going to wait to see which one starts to sell.
Mhm.
And that is where they put their marketing dollars. And if you are not the person that got lucky to get the sales, you're not getting any marketing dollars. I know a author who was trad published that did not even get a tweet on the official Twitter account of a big name publisher. Okay, like we're talking Big 5.
Well, and I think that one of the advantages for Clint is that you're with a medium-sized publisher.
Well, I wonder if you would say the same thing too, because
Yeah.
Falstaff is
Yeah.
excellent.
So
Yeah.
Falstaff, and what is your
My
publisher?
publisher's Enclave Publishing.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
also great. Yeah, it can really vary. And I also have friends who have lit agents who had like no social media presence. And so it helps. It certainly helps.
does.
But I will say Billie Eilish has over 6 million followers on all of her accounts. Her book sold around 64,000 copies.
well, there's a reason. And
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, yeah, there's a lot of other reasons. for
moving
that.
on to Bob, what was
But
So,
yeah,
no,
I just want to say, like, if don't get caught up on follower numbers.
No,
You're
no.
write your book.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Finishing the book's the most important thing. But I'm just saying, if you're going to try
Yeah.
publishing,
It won't hurt.
you need to have social media.
Mhm.
All right, Affinity. I'm not going to drone on at length, but I hate software as a service, subscription-based software. I will crawl across broken glass and naked and covered in
Yes.
alcohol
Ooh.
to
Oh.
avoid paying a repeat fee
On
for
social
software.
media.
I'm
you'll-
not
you'll do
awake
that?
enough for
Yeah.
that image.
Yeah,
Look,
is that a Kickstarter
look.
stretch goal?
Oh.
My OnlyFans is coming soon.
Oh.
So,
Only glass.
Only
Only
glass.
Only
There
glass.
we go.
Yes.
Adobe will get another dollar from me when I am dead and leave them $1 in my will. That's
Amen.
the only way they will ever get another dollar from me. I will no. Affinity is essentially the bulk of the Adobe suite of software that you buy once and you own it. They recently were bought by Canva.
Mhm.
So if you are a student or educator, you can now get, I think, 3 years of it for free.
Yeah, yeah.
They
We can't.
they
That's
do a
easier.
30-day free trial. You can buy one license that will do PC, Mac, and iPad. And they routinely run sales, like they do a Black Friday sale where it's like half off. When Adobe did something sketchy and everyone's like, oh, screw Adobe, they immediately ran a 50% off
I
sale
love
that week.
them.
So if you see Adobe did something dumb, just go check out and see if any went on sale.
Mhm.
And they have a direct Photoshop competitor, a direct InDesign competitor, and a direct what are the vector design?
Oh God. I'm not
As an author, it's got the,
Illustrate?
yeah, it's got
Yeah,
the three
Illustrator.
things you're going to need. You'll
Yes,
be able
yes.
to
I was like,
do
drawer,
book complex book layout if you need to go the complex book layout. Unless you're me or Judy,
Yeah, you probably don't.
probably
need-
don't need
You're
that.
probably not battling multi-column table.
Right,
But
so
you
like
can get
zines.
vellum for
Zines
that
you
too.
need.
Yeah,
If you're
vellum
doing
is
zines,
also
you
great.
need something more complex. But it's got like this sticker was made. If you go to my social media, every post that's not me looking roguishly, damply sweaty in some convention is probably made in Affinity. And there are guides to do literally anything you want on YouTube, including I had a niche use case. I wanted to make a postcard, the old style, like hello from Florida, where it's the big swooping
yeah.
letters with photos.
Mhm.
I was like, there's no way they're gonna have a guide on how to do that in Affinity. And they did. So
Oh.
like they get real niche. So Affinity, tell them I sent you.
So
No,
they'll give
tell-
you
yeah.
money.
We are gonna
Look,
get you as a
I have-
affiliate for
At
them,
this
man.
point, I have
We
literally
to.
probably gotten over 100 people start using
Yeah,
it.
I started
So-
using it because of you.
It's called Affinity.
It's either like it can be like a photo editing software. They have a couple different options. So you have a photo editing option, like layout for how you lay out a document or an image.
It's a design software.
Design software, so you don't have to use Adobe.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the best way
Yes,
to think
if,
about
if you were currently using Adobe, please, sweet baby Jill Jesus, leave here, cancel your Adobe subscription, and save you thousands of dollars over the next few years.
Or maybe
and
wait for
buy
the
Affinity.
subscription to run out since they continuously are like, oh, you're canceling. Hello, you have to pay the rest of the subscription.
Yeah,
So maybe wait for it to run out.
right. Yeah.
But yeah. Bob got me onto Affinity
Well,
and it's
You use
delightful.
Affinity for work or Adobe? That's the thing. The buttons are in different places, but they're essentially the same thing.
Yeah, I'm
So-
making the transition from Photoshop
Yeah.
over to using
Oh,
Affinity.
If your work is paying for it,
No, okay. So
then stick with Adobe.
Mm.
No.
No, okay. Okay.
It's
um,
free. It's great.
we're gonna come here, sweet children. Listen to me. If you're using your work software to create your stuff, they can come back and say it's theirs. I work for the government because I work at KSU. The laptop that is on this table is mine. It is
Yeah.
the only one I write on. I do
Yes.
not write on my work
yeah.
What a good
laptop.
point.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
not do
Yes.
anything with Adobe
No.
that is for work. Now, if I'm on a nonprofit board, then I might use it for that because that goes in and feeds into my work life.
Yeah.
But if it's mine and I'm going to make money on it, I own the software, I
Yes.
own the laptop that it's created on.
Yes.
So we know that Dennis owns everything and we know that he's secure in life and we don't have to worry about him. So just
Oh, I
be-
don't make any of that stuff on my work laptop.
Okay, good. Just
Yeah, I just log in to that account on a different laptop.
You mean you don't?
Yeah,
I
you
don't. If
log
I,
in.
You don't log
theoretically,
in.
if I
Yeah.
were to do
Theoretically,
it,
if he did.
He could, he would. So Canva is my biggest thing because in Canva you can do a lot of the stuff you do in Infinity. It is a subscription service,
They
but
do have some free ones.
it's crap.
Yeah,
Get
it's
the
pretty
pro
bad.
version. It's worth the money. But they have copyright free music, photos,
Yep.
everything that you
It's
could
easy.
utilize. It
Yeah.
is easy. If you want to learn how to use it, you get better the more you use it. If you look at any of the digital track stuff, I create all of that on Canva.
Mhm.
If you get limited copyright things for music and you play like 20 seconds of something, but you got it there, and I'm just saying hypothetically, I haven't made a video yet, but if I have that playing on YouTube, and then I cancel my subscription and go to somewhere else, do I have to go back and take all these out of my things, or because I paid for it when I got it?
You should be
you should be
fine.
good. You should be
Now,
good.
YouTube may still flag it even while you're paying for it.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. I mean,
If I was a musician and you were using my music, I would not say that. You know, so
but
I
I've
always try to
gotten
think of
flags-
artists.
I've gotten flags on music that specifically has been given by the author that says this
Yes.
is copyright free. I give it freely. So yeah, YouTube can sometimes be a little overzealous.
Right.
Let's see what do you do.
And-
I think it's crazy that you can like have these movie clips, 20 minutes of a movie clip, making comments on it. You pay 10 seconds of like the Eagles song, and they're gonna try and make you burn in hell on earth.
Yeah, both of those should probably be copyright questions. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I try as an artist, I try to always be respectful of other artists'
Oh,
work.
yeah.
So, but we hadn't got to talk about Forth the Words. And if you have questions, that's what we're going to do next because we got about 15 minutes left. So if you have a question, be thinking of it. And there's a lovely mic right there. But For the Words,
Number
4 is a game and it's how you gamify writing.
Oh my god, it's so much fun.
So you kill monsters.
Yeah,
What?
you
What?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you basically
awesome.
you basically go on an epic quest and the monsters have word counts as their health points
And amount of
What?
time that
and
you
a certain
have.
amount of time that you have to do it. They also now have multiplayer where you can team up with other people to slay bigger monsters.
Wait, what is it called? I'm downloading
Four,
it right
it's
now.
it's the number 4, the words.
And it's a website.
yeah, it's a
Oh yes, it's on the
it's a
doc.
website. It's delightful. It has like revolutionized my writing because it makes it feel like a game.
And we're both gamers, so it happens.
And yeah, like you're literally going on a quest. You build your little person. You can unlock outfits and weapons and upgrades and like
Sold.
and animal companions.
yes, little companions, your little own like household and
What
stuff.
is this thing?
It's called the number 4 thewords.com.
Shut up! I'm looking at it right now, and
so
it's
good.
We've made
Legit.
Rilo's day. That's my job.
Yeah, legit. It is. If you are struggling, like the multiplayer is where I go when I am really struggling with a word block. Because if I know that it's me working with other people to slay a monster, I'm like, I can't let them down. We have to kill this T-Rex. I have to type something. No,
I'm
because you
so
can see.
I'm
you can
so
see-
excited
you
right
can
now.
see the word counts of the other people and how well you're doing.
This
and
tickles my little
yes.
gaming
No,
heart. I'm
if
so
you're a gamer, it is the perfect thing to get you to
Yeah,
write.
it is
Oh.
absolutely like incredible. I love it.
So, For the Words from us. Rilo, let us know how you like it next year.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we will. We
yeah,
will.
no, we will.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll
no, I already
email you
have
all
one.
my
Yes, so
progress.
Please, yes, and then we can be friends on there, and then we can quest together.
What?
Yes,
You can be friends?
yes.
Hold it. Can I be friends too? I'm just saying. Meanwhile, Dennis and Bob are at that end going, oh my God, save us.
No,
And Clint's
no,
in the
I-
middle going,
I just use trauma to write. And that
Well,
works.
no, I-
well, you work with Phil.
Oh my God, we should-
That's right.
next year
That's
we should
trauma.
do a live
Ooh.
writing with a For the Words multiplayer monster, and then we can watch on the screen as
Yeah.
people write, and it would be no pressure at all.
I want to be on.
None. No anxiety
Oh my
at
God.
all.
Oh my God.
I know.
We are in
raid
deep
boss.
trouble. So I'm going to go to our first question. From Take it away, ma'am.
Okay, each of the panelists, Windows or Apple?
Windows. I hate Apple. with fury
I'll
of a
do
thousand
this with
suns.
visual. My entire life, Apple. I've never owned a PC.
Oh, that's really hard for me because I grew up using an Apple, and then I, for budgetary reasons, had to switch to Windows. And they both have pros and cons, so I don't know that I can actually pick.
You're a buy.
Yeah, I'm a weenie. I'm a weenie in the middle. I'm a buy Mac window user. I
Yeah.
swing both ways. I don't know.
It's not after 10. We can't talk about that.
Apple, but I know Windows has cool stuff too.
Oh, me? So like I said, I work in electronics. I fix them. I don't think I'd buy a new Apple simply because of how they're built. That said, I am an iOS user and I use iPad as well. But myself, like my computer that I would use to like edit on and everything is a robust gaming laptop
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
that
Nice.
runs Windows.
I am a pretty strictly Windows guy, even though I do use a couple Apple things just because through work I had an iPad. That's what I use for people to sign up because it's just easy for me to take it to shows. I will never, ever, 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 ever own an Apple iPhone. I just hate Apple. I find it to be different for the sake of being different. But yeah,
You can be
Um,
wrong. They're so easy to
I know.
read.
Oh.
Just hate it.
Rilo,
Just
I
hate 'em.
love you. I used to love tennis. Now I love Rilo.
So
It's fine.
I started out exclusively PC because I've been computer gamer since probably 19. Since the Windows 95 era.
The late
Well, no, and it's DOS.
1900s.
I've played DOS games.
Since Moby
Mhm.
Dick
Anyway,
was
so
a guppy.
I was PC and literally until grad school. And for grad school, I was in music industry because I like poverty. And and for most,
And now he's a
most-
writer.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just going from strength to strength, baby. And so most good music industry software is Mac based. And so, but once I realized how not money making I was at music industry, once my Mac products kind of cycled out, I switched back to PC because there were just a couple bits of software that at this point, if you wanted PC or Mac, there's a comparable bit of software, but that took a long time to get there.
Yeah.
So when I
Yes.
was making my transition, there were still certain softwares that weren't, there was no free version for a Mac. So I went back to PC and I'd still play a lot of games. And you know, every so often there's a game that's not on Mac. So at this point I'm back to PC, but they're a little cheaper, but I will say the Macs were more reliable.
Mm.
So it's kind of a trade-off. And again, see poverty.
Love whoever you love, computer wise.
Unless you're in my household.
Don't go visit Tyra.
I switched my husband to a Mac user.
I will say again as a repair tech, that if you're gonna go with like a Mac, make sure it's one of the older ones. It's just for that whole
Hardware.
hardware. You know, you can swap out the hard drive. You know, I think like the pre 2020.
No,
See, my
my
iPad is that
laptop
way.
is not new, and it's
Yeah. There is a certain like limitation. Like
Mhm.
I also have a MacBook that I got when I started college, and that's been a decade now. So it still runs, but it doesn't run like the latest OS. But the OS is free. You don't have to pay for a license, which with Windows sometimes you
That's
do.
true, but with some of your applications, especially
Oh,
with the
yeah.
music stuff, you'll start bumping into like, oh, okay, now
Hey-
Logic is now. I
Yeah.
couldn't run it on my old. My 10-year-old MacBook was still running, but I couldn't use Logic anymore
Right.
because it finally aged out of that OS.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? So,
and-
like, those would be
but
And
it's a
say-
long time to
It is
and
a
that-
long time.
and-
yeah.
And the same with like iOS programs. Like I think if I'm remembering correctly, an iPhone XR is the oldest you can go with the latest
I
iOS,
think
and
so.
yeah,
That sounds right.
but they're easy to repair and
Yeah.
they're sturdy. So
Which ones are easy to repair?
iPhones. So if you're going for like on the go writing, iPhones and iPads are
Yes. I love your crown.
Thank you. So you guys, the tools you brought up are great. Like I'm gonna definitely check out Affinity, but I hate the monthly subscription things too. But a lot of people don't know this. If you do Adobe Elements, you can pay once and then you own it and you don't pay every month. So that's out there as an option.
yeah.
And for people who are looking to compare things, there's a website, Kindlepreneur, Kindle and Entrepreneur.com combined. And like if you're looking at MailChimp versus MailerLite or the other things, they have a great thing comparing email. They have a great thing comparing any other stuff you're interested in. They probably have articles and shootouts about it and more things than you can imagine.
It's
so
a
I
really
just
great
wanted
site.
to
Yeah.
bring that up. So if you guys know it, if you can talk about
Kindlepreneur. So it's like
It's like
Kindle and
Kindle and
Entrepreneur put
Together.
together.
And it's a site that also you can buy what are romantic fantasies doing in the market. So
Yeah, it's a very helpful site.
yeah, it's on here.
it's called the Kindle Rocket and it's a program you
Yeah.
can download. And
Mm-hmm.
I did it and I looked up, I looked up the comparative websites. Like if you look up romance and you want to know what is trending in romance for search terms,
Mhm.
you might find Chinese romance is really trending. That may have nothing to do with you, but maybe you had another story you wanted to write that would be close enough that you could use that. When I used the keywords it recommended, I made, I think it might cost $75. I made more than that back in the first month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be.
Totally worth it.
No, and keyword descriptions are important not only for when you put your books up on sites, but
Yeah.
also
That's its whole panel, man.
oh no, it is.
Oof.
And then what you're using those keywords for in social media as well. So yes,
Bob, I'm absolutely with you on the hating to rent the stuff when we used to be able to buy stuff. I work in medicine, so when someone was
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to sell me some
Oh,
crap, I'd
gosh.
say, so if I put a pacemaker in you, just hypothetically speaking, would you like to get automatic updates or just rent it out monthly?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, you can't pay for it this month. Pacemaker's
Oh.
not going to help. I hate the what they'd start.
Yeah.
Instead of buying a car, we're just going to let you rent cars.
Yeah, and it's everywhere. It's awful.
So I have a couple of questions. If you guys could just go through each one of you to give your free copyright place for finding music and photos, just your personal favorite list, a real quick one.
so
And then the-
music and photo copyright
And then the other
pause.
and then the other question, which is separate, what other conventions do you guys recommend for people who are interested in learning about writing, having great panel members like yourself, as well as a digital approach? So for both writing and for digital writing.
Okay, so let's start with the copyright stuff for music and photos. We're gonna skip her because she's thinking.
Yeah, no, I don't have a great. So I just use everything that's in Canva, which is pretty
I do
good, right?
too.
Hasn't failed me yet, but they have a pretty good photo and music library. I also have friends who are musicians, so sometimes I just get the permission, to use stuff. But yeah, but Canva's pretty good. It's not as good as you want it to be, but I don't think anything is going to be.
I use Motion Array. It's not free,
Oh, yeah.
but it does have a lot of copyright free stuff, video, images, audio, especially because you can get copyright free music and whatnot.
What was that again?
Motion Array,
Motion array.
I'll just
but
say
it is paid.
my suggestion would be do a Google search for best places to get what
Mhm.
you're looking for.
Mhm.
And there are some really great guides out there that I've used. There's a really fantastic one for game design. Have you seen the guy who does Morkborg?
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you search like Morkborg art, Creative Commons, a thing will pop up, and this guy has gone super in the weeds on great places, and it's very going to be a holistic look. But unless we know exactly what you're looking for, we don't. And it's such a
It-
deep topic. I would just go find a guide.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I promised to answer. We're gonna do a real quick and just say the conference. Moonlight and Magnolias is a Georgia-based conference. It is awesome for writers. It's mostly romance writers.
Saga, SAGA
Oh,
is
look at you towing the
is-
company line. Good for you.
is yeah. It's put my publisher is one of the people primarily
They're
who
awesome.
runs it, but it's specifically a writers conference and workshop. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina.
They're not doing it next year. They're bringing
Yeah,
it back.
they
in
do it every 2
2026.
years.
2026.
It's every 2 years. Yeah.
It is a fan con, but Jordan Con here in Atlanta in April is a very literary con, and they have some excellent resources for writers. They do a writers workshop. They always have a lot of writers panels. Even if you're not a Wheel of Time, it's a Wheel of Time kind of themed con, but even if you're not a Wheel of Time person, there is lots there for you, especially if you're a writer.
I know.
I mostly go to fandom conventions, so I'm not a good source for this, but Dragon Con thus far.
Oh, the
I
writer's
mean,
track is great.
The writer's track.
Fantasy
Even if
literature
they
track, too.
Fantasy sci-fi say, come here. Amazing information.
Mhm. So I live up in Pennsylvania, so I'm not local to this area. I do a lot of conventions. I've never been to this convention because it sells out in 8 minutes, but AuthorCon is a
Yeah.
small author convention that I hear is amazing, which is why it's so impossible to get into. I believe it's in Maryland, but it could also be in southern Pennsylvania.
I'm just going to super quick. Multiverse
Yeah, multiverse is great.
and Conjuration. They're both here in Atlanta. If you go to my website, I do a lot of conventions and I do recaps. You can go read about them there.
And I'll put a list up on our so go to tyraburton.com and look for a thing that you'll click that says Dragon Con Digital Writers Panel, and it's going to have a list to our Google Doc as well as for our information. But I've been told that I have exactly 1 minute. So Bob, I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah,
You're recording this,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Oh, you're recording this.
Yes, ma'am. And I have to get
Okay.
off in 1 minute.
And if I wanted my sister to tell my sister where to find this, how would I find it?
I will tell you that when I ran things down. Bob, start us off to tell people where they can find you.
Tell us about Bob.com.
You can find me at World's Most KSDM or Hive Head Studios, and if you want to buy my books, you can do so over there at the end of the show.
You can find me all over the internet as Your Cabbage. Yeah, I know. And also at Guild Podcast and also at AdultSwimCentral.com.
ClintHall.com, Instagram, Clint Hall, Facebook, Clint Hall.
I'm JudyBlackCloud.com and Judy Blackcloud on pretty much every social media site.
So go to tyraburton.com. I promise to have all links to these people as well. And I'll have that little sign up where you can just click it and it will take you to all the things that we've mentioned. The center part, if you want to know how to get in touch and see this panel later, there's a QR code in the center. That is for all the digital media tracks, social media, Twitch streams, and everything else. So this will be up on the Twitch stream for a little while, and then it will eventually land on our YouTube. So there's something you missed or somebody who wants to watch it later, they can do so. So it's the QR code in the middle of the table. Otherwise, if you go to DC Digital Media on Instagram, you can find our link tree and go from there. And I have no idea. 2 weeks, I think, on Twitch, and then they'll eventually be up on YouTube for as long as YouTube lets us. Okay, the live streams are archived on YouTube.
Immediately.
So, thank you guys. I appreciate you, and thank you for coming out on a Sunday morning at Dragon Con.
And please come get a Fossum business card.
Yes,
I'm not
please get a
taking them
Fossum
home.
business card.
Oh,